The UUCT care team follows up with congregants who are experiencing joys or sorrows. The care team also addresses needs of congregants. The care team can be contacted by email at careteam@uutampa.org. And now to our service.
Good morning and welcome. Before we begin our service, let us take a moment to share in our stone ritual. I place a stone for our joys. One for our sorrows. And one for our intentions for the coming week.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tampa. I am Candy Gale, your worship associate for today, and I serve as the Vice President for the Board of Trustees. Welcome to this space where you are invited to explore, grow, and become part of a community grounded in reason and love. Unitarian Universalism is a faith community seeking to live out our highest ethical ideals. We are not bound by dogma, but we are bound together by our promise to work towards a world of justice and peace for all people. We are bound together by the common bond of humanity. This is a community and denomination which has a rich history of speaking truth to power, of seeking together ways to be better tomorrow than we are today, and of walking the journey called life with appreciation, with respect for one another and the world around us. Welcome to this place made sacred by your presence.
Okay, and welcome everybody. We're going to sing number 346 in our great hymnal, Come Sing a Song with Me.
Share a rose with me, that I might know
chalice lighting, I have On the Life of Friend Susan B. Anthony by Elizabeth Cady Stanton. It's from the life and work of Susan B. Anthony. To live for a principle, for the triumph of some reform by which all mankind are lifted up, and to be wedded to an idea, may be, after all, the holiest and happiest of marriages.
Hello, my name is Erin Powers, and I am the Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tampa. And today's story is a story about belonging, about a woman named Fanny Barrier Williams. More than 150 years ago, back when trains were new and airplanes and cars hadn't been invented, back when women always wore long skirts and everyone wore hats, a girl named Fanny Barrier lived in a town in New York State. Fanny lived with her older brother George and her older sister Ella and their parents. During the week, Fanny and George and Ella would get up and get dressed and eat breakfast and then go to school. In the afternoon, they would play in the woods or maybe go sledding in the snow with their friends, and then do their chores, eat dinner, do their homework, and go to bed. On Sundays, the whole Barrier family would go to church. Fanny's father was a deacon, a leader in the church. Her mother taught Bible school. And when Fanny was old enough, she played the piano while people sang hymns. She sang too and painted pictures. And maybe some of you like to do those things too. Maybe Fanny's life sounds a lot like your life, even if she did wear long skirts instead of pants and use kerosene lamps instead of electric lights and cook food on a wood stove instead of in a microwave. Going to school and to church, doing homework and chores, making music and playing with friends, these are all things we still do today. But Fanny's life was different, very different, because back then, 150 years ago in the United States, most people didn't believe that everyone was equal. Most people believed that some groups of people were better than other groups. They believed that men were better than women. They believed that Protestants were better than Catholics or Jews. And they believed that people with light skin were better than people with dark skin. Fanny Barrier had dark skin. When she was a teenager, she went to the city of Boston to study music. Some of the other students said, "We don't want her here. She's dark, so she doesn't belong. If she stays, we'll all go." The school asked Fanny to leave. So Fanny went to Washington, D.C. to study painting. She had to hide behind a screen so no one could see her. "If the other students know you're here," the teacher told Fanny, "they'll want you to leave." Over and over again, all through her life, Fanny was told she wasn't wanted and couldn't belong, just because she had dark skin. When she was 40 years old and living in the city of Chicago, some women invited her to join a women's club. But some other women in the club said, "We don't want her here. She's dark, so she can't belong. If she stays, we'll all go." The people in the club argued for more than a year. Finally, they voted to let Fanny in. But when she joined, those other women left. Now, Fanny didn't like that. It hurts when people won't let you belong. It hurts when people don't want you around. Some days Fanny felt angry about it. Some days she felt sad. But most days, Fanny had no time to feel angry or sad because she was busy making groups of her own. Fanny knew how much it hurt to be left out, and she knew it would be a lot easier and more fun to get things done together with others than by yourself. She and her husband, the lawyer S. Lang Williams, joined the All Souls Unitarian Church in Chicago. They helped start a hospital where everyone was welcome, no matter the color of their skin. They created a group to study art and music. Fanny Barrier Williams helped start a home for girls in Chicago. And she started a center where people could live together, no matter the color of their skin. She was part of the group that started the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, along with Frederick Douglass, Ida Wells Barnett, Francis Watkins Harper, and W.E.B. Du Bois. Fanny also worked with suffragists like Susan B. Anthony, helping women get the chance to vote. Because back then, remember, people thought men were better than women. Women couldn't own a property or have a bank account or vote in elections. In 1920, when Fanny was 65 years old, women were finally allowed to vote. And about 50 years after that, people started letting everyone vote, and everyone belonged to groups, no matter the color of their skin. Fanny Barrier Williams didn't live to see that. She didn't live long enough to see the United States of America become a place where most of the people believe that everyone is equal. But she helped make it happen. When some groups kept people out, Fanny Barrier Williams started groups that let everyone in. When the laws of our country said she and thousands of others couldn't belong because of the color of their skin, or the church they went to, or because they were girls instead of boys, Fanny Barrier Williams worked to change the laws so that everyone could belong and would belong no matter what.
For meditation today, we have The Catastrophic Consequence of Likability by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. An excerpt from Dear Iliwili, or a Feminist Manifesto in 15 Suggestions. We teach girls to be likable, to be nice, to be false, and we do not teach boys the same. This is dangerous. Many sexual predators have capitalized on this. Many girls remain silent when abused because they want to be nice. Many girls spend too much time trying to be nice to people who do them harm. Many girls think of feelings of those who are hurting them. This is catastrophic consequence of likability. We have a world full of women who are unable to exhale fully because they have for so long been conditioned to fold themselves into shapes to make themselves likable.
Our next hymn is it's 1009 in your teal hymnal. When I breathe in peace. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace when I breathe out. I breathe out love.
Our speaker today is Susie Siegel, talking about public women for Women's History Month. Susie will talk about the history of women in political and public roles, how sexism, systematic sexism, continues to cause inequity, but that we are making progress. Susie Siegel attended a Unitarian fellowship as a child and has been a member of UUCT since 2005. She has a master's degree in women's studies from the University of South Florida. She has been a feminist for 50 years.
For Women's History Month, I want to talk about the history of systemic sexism. You should all be familiar with the concept of systemic racism, which the UUA and our church have explored. This is when the structures of society maintain inequities, even when people don't mean to be racist. What inequities occur in systemic sexism? Well, we all know that white men earn more than everyone else in general, but in each racial or ethnic group, men earn more than women. Not surprisingly, women are more likely to be poor. Men commit most violent crime. The amount of sexual violence is even more lopsided. Many women restrict their actions, whether it's jogging in the dark or traveling alone, in hopes of avoiding male violence. But a lot of people think that men are just naturally more violent. They don't see how male violence benefits men, even feminist men. How did this system arise? Humans are capable of peaceful cooperation as well as violent competition. Unfortunately, violence seems to win out. Because men are generally stronger than women, patriarchy became the norm in recorded history. The men in charge expect other men and respectable women to punish women who rebel. In ancient times, women could have power as priestesses, but the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, greatly curtailed women in religious leadership. In some places, women could become political leaders through family relationships if there were no suitable male heirs. Think of Hatshepsut in Egypt in 1473 BCE, or Queen Elizabeth II today. Even under a queen, elite men have more political and economic power. But women in their same class have more access to this power than would a lower class man. In Europe, many people worked in or near where they lived. Both husband and wife might have worked hard to maintain family farms and home businesses. But a man had much more freedom to go off on his own. Some women took religious orders to escape marriage. Others may have cared for family members. A woman alone had few ways to earn a living and still be considered respectable. She needed a man to help provide for her and protect her from other men. By the 13th century, the church disgraced women who had children outside of marriage. This included women who had been raped. A moral woman was not supposed to incite a man's lust or give way to his force. It was safer to keep your mouth shut or find a husband quickly in case the rapist had impregnated you. Rape was considered a crime against the father or husband because the woman, his property, had been ruined or soiled. Understandably, some fathers forced rapists and victims to marry to maintain the woman's respectability. Christianity taught that women needed to be controlled lest their weak and animal-like natures lead to wickedness. A lot of women had to be killed as witches to keep others under control. You probably know that women couldn't perform in a public theater in Shakespeare's time. Women could sing, play instruments, and dance modestly for the upper classes, but women who performed in lower class establishments were often treated as prostitutes. And it was, and is, hard for prostitutes to defend against rape or find other work. The Industrial Revolution brought more separation between home and work. with increased pressure on women to stay home in order to maintain their respectability. In the late 1700s, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, one of the most influential philosophers of the Enlightenment, wrote, "The genuine mother of a family is no woman of the world. She is almost as much of a recluse as a nun in the convent." If women had sexual freedom, he said, they would tyrannize and eventually destroy men. Women lost rights after the French and American revolutions, and their participation in public became more restricted. The term public man referred to a citizen. The term public woman was a synonym for prostitute. Many women earned money by doing work at home, such as sewing, knitting, or washing clothes, but they were still expected to care for the home and children, as men worked longer hours in factories. The 1854 poem, "Angel in the House," celebrated a devoted and submissive wife. She became a model for Victorian womanhood. Women who worked in factories were paid less than men, and many men considered them unfair competition. They harassed them. Women who worked late and walked home at night were especially vulnerable. Some took money for sex because, well, at least they got paid. Men warned about the dangers women faced in public without mentioning the dangers at home. If women dared to go alone into a public establishment, such as a bar or restaurant, they might face ridicule or even attack. I've been talking about free women in Europe and America, most of whom were white. I assume you know that enslaved women had very few rights. But even free women were not as free as you might think. They had no right to refuse sex to their husbands. Men could discipline the women in their household as long as they didn't beat them too badly. Women could not own property or sign contracts. They had few opportunities to earn money, and if they did, their fathers or husbands could take the money from them. If women ran away, fathers or husbands could ask authorities for help in finding them. Some women were able to get divorced, but most could not get custody of their children. Women could be thrown into insane asylums on the word of male relatives. Can you imagine how nervous women felt when they first talked about their rights in public? I'm sure you've heard about the first women's rights conference held in 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York, where Elizabeth Cady Stanton lived. Her husband left town during it. He didn't want to be associated with the shocking idea of women voting. On the first day, only women and their children were allowed to attend. This let organizers speak more comfortably. On the second day, men were allowed in. Lucretia Mott and Marianne McClintock had their husbands chair the second day. This conference was peaceful, but men would later attack or threaten women who spoke out for their rights. This wasn't just the conservative men of their day. In 1858, philosopher Pierre-Joseph Proudhon, a socialist known as the father of anarchism, said that women were physically, intellectually, and morally inferior. Women who defended themselves against such claims were impure and rendered insane by sin. The idea of women being prone to hysteria would become enshrined in the sciences. For example, in 1930, Freud wrote that women couldn't control their primitive drives. The work of civilization has become increasingly the business of man. It confronts them with ever more difficult tasks and compels them to carry out instinctual sublimations of which women are little capable. The idea of women being too sexual and too wicked had already changed in the Victorian era, at least for white Anglo-Saxon Protestant women. One reason was economic. In the 1800s, as more men worked outside the home, they had less time to educate their male children. Women had to assume that role. To do that, women had to have an education beyond keeping house. In 1850, men still dominated the teaching ranks, but as they found more lucrative jobs, women more women entered school to be teachers. A similar situation occurred with secretaries. Women had always cared for people who were sick or disabled, but professional nursing started at this time too. Public bathrooms were built for women so that respectable ones could spend more time away from home. Stores created spaces where women could try clothes away from men. But some men still kept women out of clubs where they could make business or political deals. Again, we're talking about women considered respectable. In patriarchy, there always have to be some women who can be raped or bought. In 1920, the U.S. Constitution was amended to let women vote. As you know, many women of color were kept from the polls, depending on their ethnicity and where they lived. Even when and where women could legally vote, some avoided the polls for fear of violence. And some men kept the women in their households from voting, or they insisted their women vote a certain way. This form of voter suppression is often overlooked. For women, discrimination often begins in the home. In contrast, the home can be a refuge for people who suffer religious, racial, or cultural discrimination. Women have gained many rights since then. Rape and domestic violence have greatly decreased since the 90s, along with other violent crime. The Me Too movement has been a great reckoning. Domestic violence may be up during the pandemic, but it's hard to know because women may not want to go to a shelter. Murder is also way up in many cities. Women made economic progress up until the 90s when their participation in the workforce slowed. The pandemic is expected to erase the progress in recent decades, at least for a while. To counteract this, we need to push for paid family leave, cheaper and better child care, pay equity, and men taking on more housework and child care. Our numbers in elected office have steadily increased. Women now hold a fourth of the seats in Congress, and we have a female vice president. If you want to help, let women talk about their rights without trying to shut them up, even if you disagree. Condemn men who say they would like to punch or otherwise hurt a woman, even a woman you dislike. Don't join in on social media pile-ons when you see men making these comments. Don't use sexist slurs. Stop criticizing people in politics for their appearance, because that criticism falls hardest on women. In your activism, keep in mind how issues may affect women differently than men. I'm happy if anyone listened to me today. I know this is not a popular topic, but I've been a feminist for 50 years and it has never been easy. Thank you.
Good morning. I am Karen Levy, President and CEO of Mcdonald Training Center, and I am delighted and honored to be with you this morning, the first Sunday in March, to celebrate women. As a woman who shattered the glass ceiling, I am forever grateful to the women and men who ensured that I had an equal opportunity. Today, you will meet 3 brilliant, energetic, and dynamic women who work in unity every day to ensure people with disabilities also have an equal opportunity.
Hi, I'm Krista Wright. The need for specialized job training programs such as Emerge Career Collaborative, customized to the needs of people with disabilities, cannot be overemphasized. As 1/4, 500,000 Tampa Bay households include 1 or more people with disabilities, this is higher than the state and national averages. MTC's Emerge Career Collaborative offers solutions to the challenge of reemployment for job seekers with disabilities of all ethnicities and genders. In a post-COVID-19 world, this is very important, and this is done through innovative certificate-based job training aligned with employment opportunities in 4 high-growth sectors: manufacturing, technology, healthcare, and hospitality.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Jenkins, and it is my good fortune to support the students from admission to employment. I also encourage employers to diversify their workforce and hire people with disabilities, so Tampa Bay can become a more inclusive community.
Good morning, I'm Christina Moore. With the eMERGE program, my focus is to ensure that students receive educational services, supports, and experiential opportunities with the aim of enhancing skills that will prepare individuals with disabilities to succeed in the workplace and the community setting. Communication and interpersonal skills, financial literacy, public transportation management, and other soft life skills that are necessary for employment. These are integral parts of our platforms.
Thank you, Christy, and thank all of you for your ongoing support of our mission. I also want to thank you for your unwavering commitment to equality, inclusion, and diversity. I am grateful for you all. You make the world a better place. Thank you.
To support the UUCT with your generous financial gifts, please go to the UUCT website and click on the Click Here link to donate. It will take you to our donation page, and you can securely make your donation to the church. Thank you.
Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And it looks like it might be a long night, but I ain't going nowhere. And I know it's gonna be a hard fight, but I will stay right here. I will shine a light in the darkest hour. I will face the man in the tallest tower. Well, it looks like it might be a long night, but I ain't going nowhere. I will work, I will fight, I will strive in the name of love. I will speak, I will shout, I will sing to the skies above. Well, it looks like it might be a perilous climb, but I will follow your lead. And I know it might be a long time before the last one of us is free. But I will hold on tight, stay by your side. I will be with you for this whole damn ride. Well, it looks like it might be a perilous climb, but I will follow your lead. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. I'm gonna walk it with you. I'm gonna walk it with you. I will walk, I will climb, shine my light the whole night through. Because it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you.
To extinguish the chalice today, we will hear number 53 in Lifting Our Voices by Martha Kirby Capo. Our time together is finished, but our work is not done. May our spirits be renewed and our resolve strengthened as we meet the challenges of the week to come. This chalice flame is extinguished until we ignite it again with the spark of communion.
Please join us in singing number 1023, Building Bridges. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions, I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
I thank you for joining us today and hope you will join us for coffee hour at 11:30 on Sundays. The link is found in the calendar on the website uutampa.org. Namaste.